Have you ever filled out a job application and came across the question, "Are you a convicted felon?" I bet you have, because this is a standard question on most all job applications. And it is understandable why most employers would want to stray away from hiring ex-convicts because of the negative stigma that is attached to them. But is it fair to withhold the opportunity for employment, which is the means for survival for most all of us, from an ex-convict when they have already served their sentence? First, I would like to tell employers that former offenders may be released from jail or prison, but that does not mean that they are not being checked on or monitored. Former offenders that are assigned to a halfway house, work release program, probation, or parole are almost always given random drug screens. They are monitored weekly. They may also be attending counseling and/or therapy. This leads me to my question of policy. Should employers hire more convicted felons? Yes, I think employers should hire more non-violent convicted felons, or at least give them a trial probation period to let them prove that they are worthy of employment. Employers should take a second to look beyond the stigma of hiring a convicted felon and carefully weigh the potential positives. I will discuss why discrimination against former offenders is a problem, and I will tell you my suggestive solution, and I will inform you of all the benefits of hiring a former offender has to offer to the employer, the offender, and to society. First, I would like to tell you about the problem with discriminating against former offenders in America. The United States Bureau of Justice Statistics says that each year more than 650,000 men and women will be released from prison and back into their families and back into our communities. But will these ex-convicts be returned back into employment? More times than not, the answer is no. Or they will not even have the opportunity to become employed. And it is estimated that the unemployment rates among ex-convicts are 25 to 40%, and experts agree that these high unemployment rates are a product of employer discrimination against hiring convicted felons. My suggested solution is employers should change their hiring policies to include former offenders as a potential candidate for employment, or consider implementing a program that involves a probation period that would allow the former offender a period of time to prove their employability before being hired full term. Because a criminal history that does not change your ability to perform a task should not be the only reason you do not hire them. Correction officials and criminologists say that employment drastically increases the odds of a former offender from staying off the streets and out of prison. And in a world where discrimination is everywhere, it is clear that someone needs to stick up for the offenders that are less than perfect on applications, but they also need a job just as much as anyone else. Lastly, I would like to talk about all of the potential benefits that would come from hiring a former offender. The U.S. Department of Labor benefits employers by offering them tax cuts to businesses who will give a second chance to those released from prison. The Work Opportunity Tax Credit will give the employer up to $2,400 for each new qualifying hire of a former offender, and up to $9,000 tax credit for a hire of a long-term family assistance recipient. Former offenders benefit from employment because this increases their confidence and their self-worth by giving them legal means to support their families, pay their fines, and it gives them a reason to stay out of trouble. Society benefits because taxpayers do not have to pay for the offender or the offender's family to be on public assistance. Also, the offenders are less likely to be out committing crimes because their time is spent productively at a job. That alone adds an element of safety back into our communities. In closing, I believe there is an easy solution to end offender discrimination. Employers give felons a second chance at a productive and successful life by allowing them to return to work after serving their time behind bars. Convicted felons can absolutely defy their odds against them and become a productive member of society with your help.